You can call me Sunny. This morning, I wanted to talk a little bit about hormone balancing. I know at the beginning of the year, we're all trying to really make big changes, move towards our best self. And I get asked all the time about an approach to hormone balancing. Should I take hormones? And so I have some thoughts around it. First off, hormones are so important because they're the way the body communicates. It's basically the chemical messengers that are scooting around in your bloodstream that are regulating all these vital processes from metabolism to your mood, right? And so when we look at it from a functional medicine perspective, we want to have a whole body approach, right? We don't always just jump to hormones. Although I have to say, from the get-go, I'm a pretty big fan of replacing hormones in people that need it. And I think there's some great evidence that supports this in the research. So how would I start to approach the issue of hormones? Some people want to have tests, and we can always start with hormonal testing, right? Looking at where you are. Now, if you're a postmenopausal woman not on any kind of hormone replacement, it would be very limited testing because, generally we know that you're not making a lot of estrogen. Sometimes we'll even start with start some kind of hormonal replacement and then see where your hormone levels land. But throughout the lifetime, it's good to know what's happening with your hormone levels. And I'm not just talking about only the sex hormones. When we think of hormones, we think of estrogen, testosterone, but hormones, there are other hormones that are really important. Your thyroid hormones, which sometimes people can have a thyroid issue and not know it because no one's ever checked, right? So thyroid hormones and cortisol is our stress hormone. Looking at cortisol can be useful too. So I think it's useful to check hormones, but if you don't have access to check hormones, you actually can begin with a lot of interventions that are going to help balance your hormones without a physician, without checking your hormones. Okay, so I want to give you guys tools that whether or not you're a client of mine or you have a functional medicine doctor, you can go ahead and just jump right in, start to help the hormone balance. And where do we start in functional medicine? You guys know we start with the gut. So we always start with nutrition. One thing that is very clear is that our hormones respond to how well we're able to relax, rest, and digest, how well we can absorb food because we have to have the building blocks to make the hormones. So your gut health is critically important, and we always start there, basically. So if you are interested in doing a gut program, this is something that I have free programs that people can utilize. We would start people off with some kind of anti-inflammatory diet. There's a lot of great evidence for the Mediterranean diet. It is anti-inflammatory. If you want to go one step further and you have a lot of symptoms, the autoimmune paleo diet is a style of eating that can reduce inflammation in the body, because the more we get inflammation down, then cortisol falls, and that helps all your other hormones fall into line, right? So your adrenal glands make cortisol, and that goes up, up, up when you're stressed. So what comes right after nutrition? Stress management. Yeah, you got it. You actually knew that, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. So stress management is the next step in balancing your hormones, because the more we can bring cortisol down so that it's the level we need it. We don't want zero cortisol. Cortisol is important. We have to be able to create some inflammation, right? Sometimes. However, when it's too high or constantly elevated, that will create problems down the line with your other hormones, especially your thyroid. It also creates problems with your sex hormones. So we must bring cortisol down. What are the methods we use to do this? We can use breath work. In fact, guys, if you have high blood pressure and you are not doing regular breathing, breath work, That is as powerful as a medication. It's shown in studies that breathing and breath work can actually lower your blood pressure equivalent to taking a medicine. So breath work is important. Um, Meditation, quiet time. The other thing that can help a lot with stress management is actually exercise. Exercise is a little jolt of inflammation. When you go exercise, you actually create a little bit of inflammation, but your body responds by helping balance hormones, especially hormones like insulin. Insulin is a hormone, and helping to manage your glucose levels. Managing glucose levels for the long term, for your brain, for all of your hormone balance is very important, right? So that's why when we suggest those nutritional interventions, we're saying really you want to avoid processed foods, you want to avoid things like sugar, we want to eat a lot of fiber, fresh fruits and vegetables. And for your hormones, I forgot to mention this earlier regarding nutrition, we must have healthy fats. Fats are the building block for our hormones, guys. And this is one reason that I'm not a fan of a low-fat diet. I would not recommend a low-fat diet to anyone. Dean, I'm so sorry, Dean Ornish. But we have to have healthy fats. And what are the healthy fats? Extra virgin olive oil, preferably recently pressed within the last 6 months. There are varieties of olive oil. You're looking for olive oil that was recently pressed and also has a high antioxidant count. And that's why I like to go actually to an olive oil store. There's one in Bellingham that's amazing called Drizzle. And at the olive oil store, you say, where is the olive oil that has the highest antioxidant? And that's the one that I would purchase. We also would like to look for organic olive oil. Olive oil is a health food. It is also equivalent in its power for the body to medications, right? So it's not like anybody is comparing medication to olive oil. However, we know from research studies that it improves longevity, right? And actually, there's very few medications you could take that will really improve longevity. And we know olive oil reduces all-cause mortality. So y'all get you some olive oil every day, right? Okay, but I digress. So we're back to balancing hormones. You have to have healthy fats to get your hormones balanced. The next thing is something that people, I don't know whether or not everybody's aware of this, but over your lifetime, you've been exposed to something called endocrine disruptors. And these are toxins that you may not realize you've been exposed to, but what they do is they disrupt the hormone system. And plastics are pretty famous. Pesticides, there's some personal care products, plastics, pesticides, personal care products. So we want to live as clean as we possibly can and reduce those, and also get our body to detox and move those out. And this is going to gradually, unfortunately, it's not like snap thing because you got a lot of toxins build up in you. All of us do. But if you start to move toxins out of the body, your body will be able to come back online. Okay. And how might we get our bodies to come back online? A unique new way of doing this is something called peptide therapy. And this is something not everybody offers. It's sort of in the area of anti-aging medicine, but peptide therapy is very interesting. And what are peptides? They are tiny little groups of amino acids that pack a big punch, physically speaking. So when we think about peptides, insulin is actually a peptide, and you know how powerful insulin is if you've heard of that. There is one epitalin that is being used in the anti-aging realm, also with helping hormone balancing, because this hormone is able to help regulate the circadian rhythm, which is really crucial for the healthy sleep. And in order to get your hormones balanced, we got to get you sleeping, okay? It's actually been shown to elongate telomeres, which is really interesting. It stimulates the enzyme that helps to elongate telomeres. What are telomeres? Telomeres are the little caps on the end of your chromosomes that determine how long the cell is able to live. Epitalin also has antioxidant properties, and it seems to be able to influence the hypothalamus and pituitary glands. And these are primary like orchestrators, the conductors of the hormone symphonies. We want your hormone symphony to be beautiful, calm, and all the different glands are playing in harmony, right? So there may be, and there are other hormone balancing peptides that someone might use, but besides epitalin, but it is one that comes to mind when we think of bringing that hypothalamic pituitary axis, the HPA axis back online. And the other things that are helpful when we're talking about trying to balance our hormones are getting into community, having friends. I'm coming off of an amazing evening with friends last night, and I have to say, I feel rejuvenated just by being with those people. Sometimes we find that community online. That's why the Energy for Life community is here, and we're trying to get the activity going within that group. And I'm excited if you're part of the Energy for Life group. We are going to make big waves in our lives this year. So the next thing I say is that, supplementation can be helpful for hormone balancing. Vitamin D is critical. We want to make sure that we have the building blocks. Omega-3s, also a couple of basic things most people need: vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium. Sometimes when we're trying to improve our stress resilience, we might suggest adaptogens like ashwagandha. And these are herbal substances that can help your body balance itself, right? So the plant gives the information and your body goes, this is how I'm going to use that information, right? So those are what adaptogens are. I mentioned that you have to sleep. So in order to get that full hormone balance, we really need you to be getting 6 is the minimum. 6 hours is the minimum. If that's not happening, in the Energy for Life community, we've got a great sleep course. We can help you there. And then trying to create that mind-body connection. We've seen, I talk a lot about Joe Dispenza because I just think I love his work so much. But we've seen people walk into a meditation conference and leave a different person, right? Changing their body systems. And this is from data points taken by Joe Dispenza and his group. Gosh, I just love that guy. Can't wait to meet you one day, Joe. Okay. The other thing is addressing emotional health, and that's where friends and community come in. And all of these things going together, and and hormones if you need to have hormones balanced, but all of these things work together to have your body function the way it's supposed to function. And I look forward to working with you guys more specifically on these issues. Now, if you're in the Energy for Life community and you want to do more hormone balancing, one of the courses that we have in there that's free to all of you guys in the Energy for Life group is Metabolic Reset. Now, this also does weight release. Many times, hormone balancing is combined with weight release. And because the degree of adipose tissue that we have also affects our hormone levels. And so that metabolic reset is really designed to reset glucose levels, to help balance hormones and reduce stress in a very straightforward manner. So that might be a course to look into if you're thinking about hormone balancing, particularly if you'd like to also release some weight in the new year. If you don't need to release weight, we have to be careful with what methods we use in terms of eating. Let's say you're very thin and you think you have a hormone issue. If you're very thin and you feel like your hormones are not right, in that case, I would certainly be starting with evaluating like levels I usually use saliva testing to look at hormone levels. And understand that for some people, intermittent fasting is not always the best way to go. There's so much about intermittent fasting, and I intermittent fast. However, if you don't get enough calories in, you're not going to be able to have the building blocks to actually make your hormones. So if you are doing intermittent fasting, what is so important is that you are really trying to make sure you get enough protein, right? And I think at least 1.5 grams per kilo, and that you're trying to get plenty of healthy fats. And you guys, I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I look forward to seeing you maybe in the Energy for Life. If you're curious about how do you become part of this community where you have all these free resources, you can reach out to me. You're going to need to send me an email, clinic@feelgoodfunctionalmed.com. Would love to have you part of that. And if you're a practitioner who would like to learn more about how to do functional medicine, maybe you want to give these resources to your people. Also, you should reach out to me, clinic@feelgoodfunctionalmed.com. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.